Today we're going to be building out this card as a component. It's going to be keeping track of basically the current user's workout. So for example, as they're squatting, they're going to be marking how many reps they did and keeping track of their sets with this. Now before we actually build this component out, there's one thing that I want to do real quick. When I left you last, we wanted to fix the height of our application because right now it's not stretching to the very bottom. And we can easily fix this by making two changes. The first is in our public index.html. We want to just come over here and this div, which has an ID of root, we're going to add a display flex on it. And then after that, in our index.tsx, if we come back in our common package, we're just going to say on our wrapper a flex of 1. And so what that's going to do now is this div is going to allow whatever content is in there to grow and flex. And then we said flex 1 to make it grow. The wrapper grows and also the container grows. And now it goes all the way down the screen. So we're able to fix that. All right, so now we're going to get on to this component and start building this. Now, before we actually start building this component, I thought it'd be helpful to kind of go through how I look at this and what goes through my brain when I'm kind of like envisioning how to build this. I know this is a little bit blurry, but it'll do, and we kind of get the general shape of everything. So when I see something like this, I actually kind of, in my head, break it up into a lot of different boxes. Because most layouts, what I'll do is I'll break it up into big boxes and then smaller individual boxes, and that's usually all a layout is a bunch of boxes, even though this may not even look that boxy. So to start off, the first thing that I kind of think about is like I see the edges right here and just the container itself I think about. So the first thing I noticed is like it has rounded corners, so we're going to have to add a border radius to the container. Then I noticed there's a little shadow, so we're going to have to add a box shadow for the container itself. And then I kind of go into the content itself. The first thing I notice is there's some natural splits. So for example, the content is kind of split in the middle here. So we immediately see we're going to have like a view on top, which is going to be this portion, and then we're going to have a view on the bottom, which is this portion itself. So that was like the first big split that I saw. And so you can already imagine our container may display the flex direction may be a column, and we'll have this on top and this on the bottom. And then we'll notice this is going to be a text field. And if we look at this, we'll basically see there's a little padding on the side here. And there's a little padding on the side here. And then basically there's a ton of space in between them, right? So I imagine we're going to do something like space between. There's a justified content setting, which basically spaces this and pushes all the space between the items. So I imagine we're going to have a view here. Then we're going to have some text, and then our view is going to say justified content, space between, and it's going to spread them like that. And then the bottom view down here, we can take a look at this. Again, we're going to have some space in between, and we'll notice they're equally spaced out. And basically, this is just a bunch of boxes again. So we just have a bunch of boxes, and they just repeat each other. The boxes themselves have a couple of states. We can see that here. This has like some numbers, and this has just blank. But this is actually not too complex, right? So we're going to have some padding of some sort on this as well, equal on all sides. We're going to notice there is a border radius around it. So we're going to have a circle, and then inside of this, so this is going to be a view, right? And then inside of the view is going to be some text, the actual number itself. Anyway, that's kind of how I like break it down, the layout. Before I even start coding, I actually like will think this all in my head and kind of just go through how I break down the UI, and that's kind of what I imagine each little piece to be. All right, so now that we kind of have an idea of what each piece is, let's go ahead and start making this. So I said the first thing we're going to start with, or at least the first thing I think about, is this outside container. So we're going to kind of create that. So let's hop on over to our code, and I'm going to make this into its own component, and I'm going to create a new folder here called UI, and I'm going to call this the workout card.tsx. And the reason why I made a folder for it is because I see this as a piece that could be used across our application. It's kind of like a shared UI piece. So I'm going to say RH for my React hook snippet, and we're going to say workout card. And so I'm going to say RNSS. This is my snippet for style sheets. And we're going to start by having an outermost view. And so this view is going to be that card that we just talked about. And let me just push this over a little bit. So we're going to say card, and we're going to just apply that style onto this real quick. So we're going to say style, styles.card. And then just for the sake of viewing it, I'm just going to say text, hey guys, and import that. I'm going to import all these things. So I just hit Control and space to bring up the IntelliSense, and I'll do that. Other thing I wanted to mention is you don't always have to do the hotkeys too. There's this little light bulb that sometimes appears. You can click on that, and that'll do the same thing where you can auto import things. All right, so now we're going to deal with this card style. So I already said the border radius, we're going to have something. It didn't look too bad, so I'm going to say like a border radius of 3. The background color was white, so we're going to say FFF. And then lastly was that box shadow. And I actually didn't even know how to do a box shadow in React before I did this, so I just went on over to, React Native. So I just went over Stack Overflow and saw this answer, and we can use these properties to add a box shadow. And all these variables we can kind of play with a little bit to get a better shadow. I played with the numbers a little bit, and I thought width of 2, height of 2, and then a shadow opacity of 0.3 looked pretty nice. But basically you can do whatever you want. And I think I also set the shadow radius to match the the radius that we used up here. So the other thing I like to do is just to render this right away and kind of get a feel for what it's looking like. So I'm going to just go over to the current workout screen that we have, and I'm going to just render a workout card. And just to get a feel for it. The other thing I'm going to do real quick is add a style sheet here. I'm just going to call this the container. And I'm going to set the background color just for this page to be FA. That way we can just see some contrast between the actual background color of the card and the background color of this. Oops, we're going to say styles.container. All right, give that a save. And let's go take a look at our content. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm going to have just like the Yarn watch running on the common package, and then I just have my server running from the web. So those are just kind of constantly running throughout the series. All right, so let's go over to that page by saying create workouts. Here we can see our card being rendered. The other thing I'm going to do is just add a little bit of margin everywhere. So I'll say like a margin of 10. That way it's just not up against the edge and I can see it a little bit. So there we go. Nice. Other thing I'm going to do real quick is just head over to our router store and set the default state to current workout so we don't have to have the screen change every single time. All right. So this is a good start for our card. So why don't we start making the two top view first. So I said there's going to be a view here and a view down here. So we're going to create those two. So back to our workout card. So here I'm going to say this is going to be like our top view, and then we're going to have a bottom view. And here we're going to say flex direction is going to be a column. That way we get them stacked. And again, I can display some text if I want to and just say bottom for now because we're going to fill in the top first. So for this, we saw some text, and this was actually the workout that they were doing. So why don't we take that as a prop? So here I'm going to say exercise, and that's just the name of the exercise. And we're just going to take that as a prop, and we'll render that here. And then on the other side, we saw I believe was just, I guess, the amount of reps that we're doing. And then for the weight that we're doing it at. So we could just say, here we'll say reps and weight as a string. And we'll take that as another prop that we're going to have on the right side. So reps and weight. And I guess it's the sets as well, but that'll cover it. So actually, you know what? I guess it's better to be the most clear. So one thing I can do, I don't know if I hit F2, it brings up this little window. I don't know if it's going to rename it here and here. Let's see if it does. Or maybe if I do an F2 here, it'll do it. So I'm going to say reps, sets, and weight. I don't know if that really that really even looks that good of a variable name. I think I like reps and weight better. It just looks a lot cleaner. All right, anyway, it didn't really F too well. All right, so let's add that. So I'm going to say exercise is going to be squat, and the reps and weight is going to be a 5x5, and we're doing 260 today. The other thing is, if we look at our workout card right now, I believe the text probably is like all mashed up against each other. Nope, it's actually rendered below each other. That's kind of interesting. I would have thought they would do, you know what, I think the default might be flex direction is a column instead of row, maybe. I can't remember. Anyway, so we're going to add a style to this. That way they are next to each other, or not next to each other, at least on the same line. So here I'm going to say top row, and we're going to say flex direction is a row, and then we're going to say justify. Well, let's just see what that looks like first, right? Before we add the next step. So we're going to say styles.topRow. And now they should be side by side. Nice. And so now we just want to add space. So this is on the other side over here. So for that, we're going to say justify content space between. And so now it's going to just jam space between them, and they're now on the sides. So, I mean, the next thing is we want to just add some padding, and we're basically adding padding all around the cards itself. So I can just say on my card up here, I can just add a padding of, I don't know, like 10 or something. See what that looks like. That looks pretty good. We could maybe add a little bit less. It also looks a little spacey on the bottom, but we can make these little changes later. The other thing, I'm going to just capitalize squat. And over here, I'm now going to just maybe make the text a little bit bigger. So here I'm going to say top row text. And I don't know, font size 16. Styles.topRow. And then same style we're going to apply to the other one as well. All right, let's take a look at that. Awesome. So let's do the bottom row now. So we have this part, and let's go back to our whiteboard. We don't really need this anymore. So the bottom row, again, we're going to have a view, and you'll notice it's kind of a row, and then we're just going to basically be looping through these 5 different things. So let's actually add the prop for that first. So this is going to be basically the sets, and this is going to be I guess this is really just an array, and it's going to be the values either. I think I'm going to say the value is a string, because there's a couple different states. One of the states is an X marked through it. One of the states is blank, and the other state is a number with a color. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and so on. So I'm going to just say this is a string array. And I guess this makes more sense to say reps. But we already said, is this considered reps, or is this considered sets? I guess it is sets. It makes more sense, I think. All right, so we have an array of sets, and we're basically going to map through that and render them here. So we're going to say sets.map, and for each set, we're going to return a view. So first off, actually, I'm not sure the best thing for the key itself. I actually think the only key we have for this is going to be the index. So key, we'll say it's the index, because there's really nothing unique about the set themselves. It's just going to be the number 5 or something. All right, and I guess we could say set plus the index. That I guess makes the most sense. All right, so this view is going to be that red circle thing. So we'll style that in a second, because it can possibly, again, be 3 different states. So why don't we say if set is equal to X, then we're going to return just the text X, and we're going to style this in a second. If set is blank, we're going to just render a blank text. Otherwise, we're going to render the circle right here, And for all of these, we're going to have to say a key. So key. All right. The other thing is this is also going to be a row. So why don't we just add the style for that real quick. So this is going to be the bottom row. And flex direction is going to be row. And then the we're going to use justify content. And we're going to say space. We want to do space between, but we also want to do, I don't know if space between or space evenly is going to work out better. We'll just have to see what it looks like. All right, so why don't we start with what the red circles look like and render that first. So we're going to have some kind of view with a large border radius. So I'm going to say circle is going to have a border radius of, say, 9. And then we're also going to have to set a background color. And I thought it'd be kind of nice to, instead of just copying their color scheme, to make our own color scheme. So I just went to color.adobe. This is a nice little tool. It has a little color wheel where you can put a color and it'll give you, there's different ways you can do to create basically color palettes. So right now I'm doing complementary color palette for just white. And so we're going to make our little circles this green color. All right, so come back over here and we'll render this color for our circle. All right, so here we're going to say styles.circle, and then inside of that, we're just going to render some text. And we may need to like align this in the center and stuff, and this is just going to be the set itself. So let's go ahead and add some sets over here. So let's say for now we're just going to do an array of 5, and we'll have that a couple times. So 5 sets of 5 is what we'll do at first, and let's just see what that looks like. Didn't I say flex row, I thought? Let's just see what I messed up with my card, because they're all stacked. Did I do bottom row, flex direction is a row? So, okay, I just didn't actually set it. Okay. So we're going to say styles dot bottom row. And let's see what that looks like now. All right. We didn't actually do a very good job because we need to add, I guess, some padding to make it more circular. So let's play with the padding a little bit. I don't think I really made too many circles like this. Let's do like 10, just see what even padding looks like. All right, so this looks kind of blocky. I think I just need to add like a border radius of way more, maybe like 15. And then I'll get more circular. All right, we got an oval, 20. Is that as much as we can go? So let's say padding of now 30. That's like that. All right, let's say border radius 30. All right, we're almost at a circle. I don't know, like 60. Let's just get there. I feel like there's probably an optimal circle amount here. I'm gonna have to Google this after I'm done with this video. I think we'll just call this good for now, and then I'll Google if I just need to do, I don't know if you're just supposed to set like a giant border radius to get a good circle or what, because this is still looking a little weird here. Anyway, so let's shrink the padding a little bit. Let's do like 15. And then let's go ahead, space evenly looks pretty decent. I think the other thing is I want some like padding on the bottom itself. I also want to make the text of this white. So this is going to be circle text. Color is going to be FFF. So this is the circle text. And then I want to add some padding to the top of this. So on our bottom row, I'm going to say margin top. And let's just say like 10. I don't know, 10's like the magic number today. We could probably do like a wee bit more, maybe like 14. All right. All right, this kind of looks like what it should look like, I think. let's go ahead and do the other two states. So the other two states were there's an X in the middle and that it's grayed out. All right, so for us, that's going to be these two right here. And we're going to use the circle in all three states. That's something I didn't really think about. So what we're going to do is copy this. The only thing that differs is its color. So we'll taste that. And what we're going to do is just take an array of styles. And here we're going to set, I guess, styles.gray. And all that styles.gray does is set the background color to gray. And so this is going to render some text, and it's going to be an X. Let's do a big capital X. Oops. And this is just going to be a blank. There's going to be nothing. It's just a single view. Oops. And let's close that tag. All right, so let's add the styles.gray. Background color. And I don't know if it came with a gray over here that would work. This is FF. Oh, all of them are FFF. This brown could work as well. Let's try that out. Let's see if that looks funky or not. I guess it's no longer really gray. All right, so let's render a few different ones. So this is going to be an X. All right, let's do that one blank, and this one's an X. All right, so these are two different states for it. So this has a slightly different padding, if it doesn't have a number or not. So I think when I need to figure out how to do a nice even circle, we'll fix the padding on this thing. But I think that looks fine enough. The text itself, we could probably increase a little bit on all of them. So we'll come back to our card. So I said circled text right here. I think I'm going to just rename that to white text. Because I want to say a circle text and set the global font size. By the way, I did F2 to rename that. That's how that little pop-up came up. And I think it renamed it down here automatically for me. So just a heads up on that. So circle size, we'll say font size of, let's do 15 again. Or did I say 16 above? We'll do 16 again. And then I can set that here. So styles dot circle text. And we'll do that here as well. So it's going to be white text, and it's going to be styles.circle. And one last thing I want to do is actually make this X like more of a gray color, I think. I already did gray here. This should really be, the background could be like faded background. Because we could change the color on that. So this is going to be gray text. And we're going to say color, and I'm just going to say gray. And you know, I spelled it with an A there and an E there. All right, so let's add that. Styles.gray. Let's take a look. Now we kind of have a grayed out X. That's kind of the feel I think they had on theirs. So there we go. That's basically the start of our component card here. I think in the next video what we'll do is we'll perfect the circle itself. Also, I want to, before we end the video, just see how space between and space evenly looked. So space between, spread it to the edges. Maybe that's better. I think that fit more to what this was doing, whereas on the edges, yeah, I think that was closer to what this was like. So yeah, we're going to make this interactive and actually respond to, for example, clicks, and we'll also get the circles working. So that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching.